Why is it that the people who accumulate the most wealth are often the ones living with the greatest fear of scarcity? In today's video, we are going to decode the hidden psychology behind avarice, using the archetypes of Saturn, the psychology of Carl Jung, and the myth of King Midas. Greed does not begin with money. There is a profound mistake in the way humanity understands greed. People believe it is born from wealth, but it is not. Greed is born from fear. Fear of loss, fear of scarcity, fear of emptiness, fear of disappearing before the unpredictability of existence. It was only after many years studying Hermetic symbolism, archetypal psychology, ancient astrology, and existential philosophy that I began to realize something disturbing. The greedy person is not someone who possesses too much. It is someone who never feels they possess enough. And perhaps that is precisely why greed is one of the most silent vices of human consciousness. Because it rarely presents itself as evil. Most of the time, it appears as prudence, as control, as security, as planning, as protection. But deep within the psyche, something else is happening. Greed is the desperate attempt of the ego to construct permanence in a universe where everything decays. And when I understood this, I began to see this archetype hidden everywhere. In men who accumulate money but have lost the ability to feel. In people who suppress emotions until affection turns into stone. In those who collect knowledge merely to dominate. In those who accumulate power to conceal the inner terror of fragility. That was when I realized that greed does not belong only to morality. It belongs to the symbolic cosmos of the soul. The archetype of earth that imprisons. Within zodiacal symbolism, greed holds a deep connection with the earth element when it becomes imbalanced. Earth, in its elevated expression, represents construction, stability, fertility, and manifestation. But every archetypal force possesses its shadow. When the principle of earth loses contact with the flow of life, it hardens. And what was meant to sustain begins to imprison. This is where we encounter the shadow aspect, symbolically associated with signs like Taurus and Capricorn in their imbalanced expressions. I am not speaking literally about people born under these signs. I am speaking about psychological frequencies. Taurus, when obscured by fear, transforms security into possession. Capricorn, when dominated by existential anxiety, transforms achievement into a compulsive need for control. What was once structure becomes prison. What was once protection becomes attachment. What was once prudence becomes the inability to share. And there is something even deeper. Greed does not accumulate only objects. It accumulates identity. The individual begins to believe they are what they possess. Bank accounts, prestige, status, property, influence, knowledge, image. Then, a dangerous fusion emerges between having and being. And when that happens, any loss begins to feel like psychological mutilation. The hidden psychology of scarcity. Psychology has long observed something essential. Every excess conceals a deficiency. Greed is an excess of retention born from an internal perception of lack. Even when objective abundance exists, the greedy person rarely feels abundance because their mind does not inhabit the present. It inhabits an imagined catastrophic future. They fear tomorrow. They fear ruin. They fear dependence. They fear vulnerability. And behind all this lies something even more ancient. The fear of dissolution. It was through studying Carl Jung that I began to realize how certain archetypes silently dominate human behavior. Greed often emerges when the ego attempts to compensate for an inner sense of powerlessness. Accumulation becomes an attempt to create invulnerability, but this produces a devastating paradox. The more the individual accumulates in order to feel secure, the more fear they feel of losing. And then they no longer possess things. Things begin to possess them. Money no longer serves life. life begins to serve money. The person loses spontaneity, loses presence, loses emotional circulation, loses the capacity for surrender. And this does not happen only materially. There are emotionally greedy people as well. They withhold affection, withhold words, withhold forgiveness, withhold recognition. They live as though expressing love meant losing power, as though vulnerability were weakness. Saturn and the fear of time. Time. In Hermetic symbolism, few principles possess a relationship with greed as intense as Saturn. Saturn represents time, limitation, structure, responsibility, and mortality. But there is a shadow dimension within this archetype, the terror of finitude. The greedy person attempts to freeze life. They attempt to prevent impermanence. Accumulation becomes a psychological war against time, as though building material walls could prevent the aging of the soul. But Saturn always demands its price, because everything that does not circulate decays. Stagnant water creates disease. Stagnant blood creates necrosis. Stagnant energy creates spiritual decay. And perhaps this is exactly what ancient Hermetic traditions intended to teach when they claimed that the universe functions through flow. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything breathes in cycles, expansion and contraction, birth and death, construction and dissolution, gain and loss. Greed is the neurotic refusal to accept this dance. The myth of the king who never had enough. Many ancient myths understood this long before modern psychology. One of the most symbolic is the myth of King Midas. Midas wished to transform everything into gold, and he succeeded. But the gold destroyed his ability to live. Food became gold. Touch became gold. Love became gold. And then he discovered something terrible. There are forms of wealth that destroy what they attempt to preserve. This myth was never merely about financial greed. It was about petrified consciousness, about the inability to experience life without attempting to dominate it. And I realized that modern society has transformed Midas into a model of success. We live within a civilization obsessed with accumulation. More money, more reach, more numbers, more influence, more validation. But we rarely ask, what is being sacrificed to sustain this accumulation? Time, mental health, inner silence, human depth, emotional presence. There is a form of poverty that wears expensive clothes. Spiritual greed. Perhaps the most dangerous form of greed is spiritual greed, because it disguises itself as evolution. These are people who accumulate books, courses, symbols, concepts, initiations, philosophical discourse, but are never transformed. Knowledge becomes collection. Wisdom becomes vanity. The mind turns into a vault of dead theories. And this possesses a profound relationship with the intellectual ego. The individual does not seek understanding. They seek superiority through knowledge. It was through studying Friedrich Nietzsche that I understood something essential. There are people who use ideas as armor against life. They do not think in order to awaken. They think in order to avoid feeling. And this too is greed. Because retaining experience without transmutation produces stagnation of consciousness. Philosophy as a path of liberation. After years investigating this archetype, I arrived at a difficult conclusion. Greed will never be overcome through morality alone. It must be understood existentially, because the real problem is not money. It is the relationship between consciousness and impermanence. Ancient philosophy understood this deeply. Stoicism taught that suffering arises when we attempt to control what does not belong to our domain. Excessive attachment creates emotional slavery. Meanwhile, Heraclitus affirmed that everything flows, nothing remains. Life is continuous movement, and perhaps it is exactly here that the path outward exists. Because the cure for greed is not rejecting matter. It is learning to move through it without transforming possession into identity. Money is not the problem. The problem begins when the value of the soul becomes dependent upon it. Knowledge is not the problem. The problem begins when knowledge replaces lived experience. Protection is not the problem. The problem begins when fear transforms protection into imprisonment. The true meaning of wealth. Today I realize that wealth may have been understood in a completely distorted way by modernity. Wealth is not merely accumulation. Wealth is the capacity for flow, the capacity to experience, the capacity to share, the capacity to live without transforming everything into a defense mechanism. The truly wealthy man is not the one who never loses. It is the one who does not collapse when he loses, because his identity is not imprisoned within external things. And perhaps this is exactly what ancient philosophical traditions attempted to teach. The more consciousness depends upon the external world in order to exist, the more fragile it becomes. Greed is the attempt to fill an inner abyss through retention. But no accumulation can resolve an ontological void, because the void is not material, it is spiritual. And it was only when I understood this that I began to perceive something transformative. True security is not born from possession. It is born from the inner capacity to move through impermanence without losing one's essence.